A few months ago, I did a video about how I built two different websites in under 40 minutes a piece and made a couple $1,000s just from doing that, utilizing AI. And it was one of my most popular videos organically that I've done on my channel. And although tens of thousands of people watched it, the next question, which is the obvious question, is, that's great, James. If I can build it, will they come? And the answer is no, they will not. So what's the next step after learning how to build these websites extremely fast, beautiful websites without having to wait months, even if you don't know anything about technology, even if you couldn't build a website yourself on your own, you don't know how to code, you don't know how to script, you don't really know how to do much, but you can learn how to do something called prompts, which would allow you to build websites extremely fast. And I'm talking professionally built websites that you could sell for $2,000, $5,000, even $10,000. And these are hardcore facts because I've done it myself and I've had students do the same. But the next step in that equation is, how do I sell them? So in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how you can sell or pre-sell these websites before you even sit down to start building them. And so what I want to do on my computer in just about 30 seconds is I want to show you step by step how you can literally sell these websites for thousands, even if you don't know how to code and if you're terrible at sales, because we're going to be using something called a sales web app that I built over the last 3 months that's going to help you build a lot of trust with the potential client. You're going to be able to show off either work that you've sold or work that you've done seamlessly through what we call the interview process. You're going to ask the right questions and you're going to sound like a freaking pro. So let's jump on my computer and let's get right to it, because I know a lot of you hate when my intro is too long. Let's jump on my computer. So what you see on the screen right now is the sales web app that will help you sell anything from a brand new website to reputation management to pay-per-click advertising to Facebook ads. Now, James, what does that mean? That means that if you suck at sales or you want to get good at it, this is the next best thing that you could get your hands on. So if you wait until the end, I'm going to share with you how you can get your hands on it. Essentially, joining my school community will get you access to this, okay? More to explain in just a little bit. But more importantly, I want to share with you exactly how this works. And the biggest and I've been using this process, and I spent the last 90 days taking this interview process that we have with business owners and moving it and adding AI and moving it online, because most of the sales calls that myself and all of my students do is either going to be on Zoom, it's going to be knee to knee, or it's going to be over a phone call, which is fine because this will work for all three scenarios. The biggest problem that people have is they can learn AI, they can learn to build a beautiful website, but they can't sell it. They can learn how to do reputation management, but they can't sell it. They can learn how to do everything under the sun, but when it comes to making money, they can't do the most important aspect, which is selling. And I hope this tool, and the feedback that I'm getting in my community is, this tool is exactly essentially what was needed for so many people. So let me go ahead and sign in, and let me walk you through this process. So what you see on the screen now when I'm logged in is interviews. Now, James, why do you call them interviews? Well, the reason why I call it an interview is because it sounds so much better than a sale. The difference is interview is uncovering business problems that the prospect has. That's what an interview does. So that at the end of the interview, I can offer them a solution based on their problems. A sales call is hard pitching them into a service that they either need or don't need. But the interview will lead the prospect into self-admission of the problems they have, with me at the end of the phone telling them that you told me all of your problems. You admitted to having those problems. You told me you don't have a solution to those problems, but I do. So it's like your only choice at the end of this interview, prospect, is you either are aware of the problems, have self-admitted it, and you could either not care or you could pay me to fix the problem. They can't. There's only two ways they can go. And yes, some, if not most, will say no. That is part of the game. But going into these interviews, there's no hard pitch. You don't have to pitch. They're self-admitting the issues. Okay, so let's stay on task here, James. And because I've done a few videos on this sales web app, we are talking about selling a website, right? So let me go ahead and tell you a little bit up front about the little setup that you need. Okay, and we can use AI to practice, by the way. Again, I think I did that in my last video. But if I go into my settings here and I go to portfolio, I've preloaded some websites that I've done. Right now, I'm not going to click in here and show you because during the interview process, it will bring this website portfolio page up so that I can show the prospect what I've done in the past. Now you say, James, I've never done a website in the past. Well, that's why you should join my Skool community, learn how to build an AI website in an hour, a beautiful one, and then you put it in your portfolio. And the next time you're pitching a website to a prospect, you now have a site that you've built. I've built dozens of them already. Some of them I sold. Some of them are in niches waiting to be sold. Okay? Again, all of this is in my Skool community under the AI website arbitrage training for less than $1 a day right now. The price goes up soon, I think, depending on when you're watching this. Okay, so this is what I did. So I can add portfolio item. I give the client name, the industry, project description, built website, did reputation management, pay-per-click ads, whatever it might be. Some of the highlights, metrics if I have any, and I can upload up to 10 photos here and then I can link to a site. I can mark it as featured or not. You'll see this during the interview process, how we're using this to sell the website. Okay, let's go back to home. Let's go into new interview and let's start the process. So if I'm going to go over here, I'll do ABC Plumbing as an example. Contact name is Joe. Email is joe@gmail. Industry is plumbing. I have a bunch of industries here you could choose from. This matters a little bit in this process. He's got 4 employees. Now, you see all the services that I can choose. I could choose that I want to try to pitch them AI Power Package, pay-per-click ads, online reputation, professional website build. But all of these options, including this one here, will bring me through the interview discovery question. Because even though I might want to pitch them online reputation management, through the interview process, AI is going to be calculating the answers and say, it's going to show me, not them. Again, if we're on Zoom, they're not going to see my screen until I want them to. It's going to say like, hey, listen, based on all of these questions, they most likely don't need reputation management. They already have 500 reviews. They're rated 4.9. They already have all the process in place. Through 11 questions that we ask, it will know what we should be selling them, okay? The only difference here is I added this website build sale. And the reason why I did this is because if I'm prospecting to sell websites, that's my ultimate goal. Like I'm not going to be prospecting people who have beautiful websites, ranked number 1 on Google. I'm going to page 3 or 4, finding the companies that have terrible websites. And so my ultimate goal is to sell them a website. I'm going to skip the discovery and I'm going to go straight into the website sale. Okay. So I'm going to click this and we're going to skip a lot of the interview process, but I'm still going to ask about 10 questions that is going to be related to the website. For example, thanks for getting on the phone with me today. What's your current website situation? No website. I kind of will already know, but I would say 80% of the businesses that you talk to will have a website and it's very outdated. What's the goal? A lot of them don't have a goal. A lot of them just have a website because somebody sold it to them 15 years ago and it hasn't changed. They're a word of mouth business and they don't realize they're wasting a lot of online real estate where they could be doubling their business. Okay. So generate leads and inquiries would be the number 1 priority for a lot. Then I simply go to the next question and say, look, typically a good local business website will have about 7 to 12 to 15 pages. Homepage, about us page, services, contact. Would you agree that that is really all you need? Most of them will say yes, so I would just click all these. I'm going to add a all button here and on this one. And then I would say is like, look, there are certain features that are new, basically, with AI and just a lot of things. We can collect information. Instead of them calling you, we can collect it online, and then you can have your secretary reach out to them. We can have them book your services online. We can have a live chat with an AI bot that will know everything about your business. And so people could stop calling, and bothering you guys about when you close. The live chat will decrease a lot of wasted phone calls in a given day. Again, photo gallery, things like that. These are just things that I've added based on students who said, look, can you add this? Can you add that? And I've added it. Okay. But feel free to choose what you think or what they tell you. And then we're going to kind of get into, we're walking down the path of assuming that we're going to close them on a website. So I'm asking essentially questions. So they're starting to think like this guy's going to pitch me something, right? Because I'm discovering the questions. But what they're going to appreciate is that you're actually asking about their business instead of just like, hey, I want to sell you this. Hey, I want to sell you that. All right. Do you have content ready for a website? Some of them will say, well, what do you mean? Well, essentially, I'm looking at your website, or I checked your website out previously to us getting on the phone. Some of the pictures are from 1992. Do you have new images? Yes. I have new images. I have new content, or, you can do it yourself. Any branding materials like logos, pamphlets, colors, fonts, none of the above, right? A guideline document. Most people will just say logo and brand colors. And then you just say here, 2 competitors. All right. I would actually research that before and say, hey, X, Y, Z, F, Y plumbing and Total was plumbing. Are those some of your competitors? Most people don't like to admit when they're a business owner that they have any competition. And I like to do that because I want them to think, right? I want them to think that, I'm going to tell him I don't, but I know I do. So maybe I better start doing something different than what I've done for the last 30 years. Timeline, like, look, how fast you want to get this done if this is something that you would want to move forward. And then here's a question that I get mixed responses from students that are using this. Essentially, like I've had people that are like, look, I don't want to ask this. By the way, if you don't, you skip it. But I like to ask this, and I could maybe reword this a little bit, but I like to just say like, look, one of the things I've noticed or you've told me is that your website is outdated. If this is a good fit, a typical website build could be anywhere between, depending on how many pages, a couple thousand up to 10,000 plus. All right. I'm looking at your business. I don't think we're going to be on the higher end. We'll probably be on the lower end. Do you have the budget at least for the lower end of that or mid tier? And the reason why I do that is because I want them to know, I want them to think in their mind, wow, it could be 10, 12, 15,000. And then when I pitch them a price, $1,000, $1,500, they're like, whew, thank God. I could word this a little bit better, but I'm still getting feedback from people. Most of them want to see a proposal. Hosting, the reason why I ask this is because this allows me to uncover them. And what I'm going to do is add a little notes here so you know why I'm asking these questions like I did on previous services. What I want to do is I want to ask them kind of a gotcha question. And what does that mean, James? Well, do you have a hosting provider? They're going to be like, what do you mean hosting? Like, what do you mean? And that allows me to kind of dig in that they've let a huge piece of real estate, an online piece of real estate for their business go into the abyss. Like they know nothing about it. If they don't even know what hosting is, that allows me to say, well, I don't know if you know this, but 5, 10, 15 years ago, a lot of people who built websites, they made most of their money on hosting. So you could be paying a lot of money per month out of your pocket for hosting when it's like pennies on the dollar nowadays. And I'm not sure if you knew that. That allows me to let them know that, if I hire this guy, yeah, it might cost me some money up front, but he could save me money on the back end. All right. No need hosting. Well, they all need hosting, but not sure. That's what most of the people say. And then I'll hit complete. Now what I'll say is, look, I've gathered some information. I would love to share my screen. Are you cool with that? Let me show you some of the work I've done. And I'll share my screen. I'll click this. Oh, I'm surprised nobody ever actually said this. I'm going to change this. Let me mark this. Let me screenshot it. Because if I'm sharing my screen, we need to hide this little button. You know what I'll do? I'll put it on a time. I don't know what I'll do with that. It'll be fixed like right after I do this video. So what you could do is, and I'll fix this, but we'll click that. And now I'll share my screen and like, look, this is one of my clients. We were able to do a full website build and also rank them and get them a lot more reviews. Now I am future pacing other services that I do. Build site from scratch, ranked number 5 organically, ranked number 2 Google Business Profile. Here's just some of the pictures of the site that we've done. He didn't have a site. We built it in a couple weeks. Then I can go over here and be like, this is another one, a hardscaping company down in South Jersey. This is what, again, I'm breezing through this. This is what we did. And then I can even click this and show them the site. This is what it looked like. It doesn't have to be yours, but I just want to know this is the kind of work that we do. And then what I'll do is be like, all right, great. And I'll stop sharing. And then I'll go back over here. And then I'll hit continue to pitch. I got to make sure that you can't see this. And now here's going to be my interview recap. Everything we've discussed over the last 10 questions, recapping. And now I'm going to go into my pitch. And here is going to be my pitch. Now, so this is what I want for you guys to see. Imagine a world where you don't have to come up or go watch Grant Cardone's sales videos or go watch how to sell for Alex Hormozy style. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get good at this. What I'm saying to you is very simply is that we now have a tool coupled with AI that will allow you to just be so much better, so much quicker. Speaking of which, again, on my last video, we could practice. Okay, so if I will go to home and I'll hit new interview, and let me just fill this stuff out really quick. Hey, Asda, so I had a few questions about your business that can help me paint a better picture about what you have going on. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'm here to help. Feel free to ask me anything you'd like to know about my business. What can I clarify for you?
Would you say that you have the capacity to handle more business and are looking to bring more new customers into your business, grow sales, or are you interested in just maintaining your current customer base while still increasing sales?
I'm definitely interested in bringing in more new customers.
Okay, so you have the ability to now use AI to practice within this app. Anybody can say that they're running a marketing agency. Anybody can pretend that they're prospecting for clients. Anybody can say anything about anything in life. But the reality is that it's not an easy business. There is no such thing as an easy business. But there is such thing in this day and age to utilize AI to just get very good at whether it be sales, very good at prospecting, very good at running reputation management campaigns, pay-per-click campaigns, Facebook ads campaigns. With AI in our life, we're either going to be replaced or we're going to embrace it. We're already seeing that with Amazon. And so I built this for my students to help them get better in this business. And it is available. I've made it available to everybody. All you have to do is join my school community, where not only, if you join for less than $1 a day, not only will you get access to this for free, but you will get all of the training behind it, in addition to a ton more trainings. Now, I've always prided myself, as I'm ending this video, I've always prided myself on giving you the least amount of information to deliver the best result. Why, James? Why would you do that? Because I've seen over the last 8-9 years in this business, guru after guru, coach after coach, thinking that more is better. More information is better. More training videos is better. More Zoom calls is better. When the reality is, and I know this unequivocally for a fact because I've surveyed my students, I see the wins, I see the losses, I see the quitters, I see the ones that built $1 million agencies, and I've interviewed tons of them, and I've surveyed them. The number one thing is they learned the least amount of information possible, meaning they didn't have to spend 7 months going through 1,000 videos and 650,000 hours of Zoom calls just to get the skills to go out and start talking. In our coaching program, by week 2, you're already prospecting. And most people finish the first 2 weeks in 3 to 4 days. In our school community, in my AI website arbitrage training, people are selling websites within the first few days. And so I encourage you to join. The price goes up every month. And so I don't know when you're watching this, but no matter what, it's going to be cheap to get the ball rolling and to get you finally good at a business that you could eventually succeed at in record time without sitting and learning for the rest of your life. Look down in the description, pinned comment to find all of the information needed. Peace.